Good morning. I'm so excited for this one today. We are sitting down with Sam, the co-founder and managing director, and Casey, the general manager of hospitality at CommonFolk here in Mornington. The cafe is not just a spot for come for brunch and a coffee. It's a real family community located on Mornington's industrial estate. You guys have been here since 2013, which is a long time now. But you've really grown and thrived in regards to creating a family and a community base, getting a bit stuck into where it all started. Obviously, yourselves got together, or you got together with Ben, Duncan and Andy back in 2013. What made you start the business? What made you sit down and decide, let's open a cafe?
I think I grew up on the peninsula, like born and raised, actually over the other side in Bitten.
Oh, nice.
And I used to spruik to all of my friends when I was at uni, like the virtues of living down near the beach. And I think some of them looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, mate, lifestyle's good.
Yep.
Great beaches, great food, great wine. But I think one thing that I'd always felt was that coffee was sort of just an afterthought.
Yeah.
And so while I was at uni, kind of paying my way, getting beer money for the weekend, I was a barista.
Yep.
And I just fell in love with it. I think I started discovering, a bit of an online community who were really invested in coffee as being more than just, sort of an accessory, an after dinner thing or a first thing in the morning thing, but actually this product in and of itself. And sort of discovered a number of the bespoke specialty roasters that were emerging in Melbourne at the time.
Yes.
And to be honest, really, like in the world, like that was where it was kind of happening.
Yep.
And thought, I want to take that down to the peninsula. And so came up with the idea for what would later become CommonFolk. What would be a cafe, coffee roastery, sourcing the best coffees we could find, trying to support farmers who were doing really interesting things in our industry, and then sharing it with my community down on the peninsula. And one thing led to another, and we've, I think we were searching for something maybe a little bit more traditional, sort of just off Main Street. And,
Yes.
As you would well know, the rents on Main Street are pretty prohibitive, and we realised that like we needed to roast and, have pallet racking and a forklift and a bit more of a, kind of industrial setup. We just weren't going to be able to afford to do everything we wanted to do.
Yes.
And there weren't really suitable premises there anyway, and that pushed us out into the industrial estate. You had a couple of beers with Matt from the brewery around the corner, and he suggested we, genuinely start looking to do something similar to what Mornington Brewery, now Tar Barrel, did.
Yes.
Drove up Progress Street, saw a for lease sign out in front of what is now CommonFolk, and
meant
I guess
to be.
the rest is history.
Yes, fantastic. Now, Casey, you were just saying you've been Mornington 31 years, so you're Mornington girl through and through. How did the two of you meet and decide to come into business together?
Great question. Sammy and I, we would have met probably when I was around 14, maybe 15. Sammy was a barista at a local cafe that I used to regular, and he would make my coffees. And back then I knew nothing about hospitality and nothing about coffee. I think I probably ordered a mocha with 3 sugars.
Extra chocolate syrup, sugary
just
mocha.
Put the chocolate on the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though I was ordering such a tragic coffee, I still drank it and thought that I was the coolest person ever. But yeah, I remember meeting Sammy back then through my sister, who's good friends with Sammy. And at the time I was studying and working at Frankston High as a sports coach.
Oh, yes.
And during the summer, my sister told me that her friend Sammy was crazy enough to open a coffee roastery in Mornington. And so I think the two of them had a conversation, and I think my sister might have said, Case needs a job.
And help her mate out.
Help her out.
Please help her out.
Teaching's not the way.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I remember having a chat with Sammy and coming down, again, no hospitality experience, but had the ego of someone who had owned hospitality for 50 years. And I remember opening day when we opened up the roller doors, and the energy inside this place was electric.
Yes.
There was so much nervous energy, but more so the profound thing that we felt was the community support and love from day one. I remember, again, Me not knowing anything about hospitality, I was washing dishes, but probably not fast enough back then. And so we had to actually ask our family and friends to jump behind the bar and
Yep.
help us get through the day.
That's
Literally.
great.
Yeah,
Yes. Get everyone
Um,
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the community support. And
Yes.
so, an incredible day. I remember
Yes.
feeling exhausted at the end of the day, thinking, what the heck have I got myself into?
Yep.
But
12 years
so,
later, mate.
yeah, but so excited.
Every day still she's asking
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah, exactly right. But so excited to do it again the next day.
Yes.
And then, 12 years later, that love has only grown tenfold for
Yes.
hospitality. And
Yep.
I look back now and I think, wow, I had all the gear but no idea.
Yep.
And I think now I'm probably a little bit more, hopefully, skilled up and understand hospitality
Yes.
in different forms. So
Well, you must understand it a little bit because you've expanded. You've now got the Frankston Cafe and you've got one in South Yarra as well. How important is it to keep that community feel even whilst you are expanding in the business?
yeah, that's something that we actually battled with as a leadership team quite heavily.
Yes.
That we didn't want to become just a corporate company that continued to expand without identity.
Yes.
And making sure that our identity and our core values are at the forefront of everything that we do.
Yep.
That has really helped us to tackle opening new venues. And I think
Yes.
the beautiful thing is that every single one of our venues carries on the legacy from our Mornington venue, but with its own quirks as well.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, it was difficult, but that natural flow happens as well. And I think
Yes.
when you've got leaders that are hands-on and supportive,
Yep.
that sets the tone for positive growth. And that's what we've been extremely lucky with, is the investment from our leadership team
Yep.
really trickles down to the rest of the staff. And so
Yes.
hats off to them. They're the culture creators.
Yep.
And yeah, we Sammy and I sit back and we smile often and think like, wow, they've really taken a crazy idea that Sammy
Yeah.
came up with 12 years ago, and they're the ones, leading
Yes.
charge now. So
And it's so good to have a team around you that all has the same feel and wants
Yep.
to run with it and support you guys, because it's obviously a fantastic run business.
Yep.
To have that team around you, that everyone has the same vision on how you want to run the team and the,
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
shop is
Yeah,
fantastic.
and I think you nailed it, Case. It's each venue's got its own identity, but still
Yes.
true to, I guess, what is special about
Yes.
CommonFolk and the culture that we kind of want to see infiltrate everyone, from the guests kind of coming in through to the team that work for us.
Yes.
But then each venue itself, hopefully speaks to the community of regulars that kind of go in there. And what I say, like, even when we started here in Mornington, we didn't open up over the Christmas period for a few years,
Yeah.
because we kind of like, well, we're a place for locals, like,
Yes.
and I think at that point, tourists and day trippers didn't really know we're here. That obviously changed relatively quickly, but in the end, the essence of CommonFolk is the people that come in here day in,
Yeah.
day out.
Yep.
Our team know their names. I mean, like, sometimes they end up working for us. Other times, we've been to customers' weddings, funerals. We've
Oh,
seen their
yes.
kids
Yep.
grow up, and then get jobs with us. That's kind of what we love. And then, the same thing's happening in Frankston and in South Yarra, and we
Yes.
kind of almost insist that the community takes ownership of our spaces and turns them into what they want, so that they're not just, cookie cutter versions of Mornington, but unique to the community.
Yes.
And then, like you were saying with the team Case, that our people set the tone. I look at Casey, like, she sort of undersells herself. Like, she literally started as a dishy
Yeah.
and then toasting sandwiches, and now
She's
she's
an
the general
impressive woman,
manager of
yes.
the hospitality group.
Yes.
And has ownership in our hospitality businesses.
Yes.
Like, she's kind of calling the shots. Like, I just sit back and drink coffee.
Perfect. That's what
Which
you
is,
want too.
Which is, well, also, but it's what the team want me to do, because they're like, yeah, leave it to the professionals.
You're done now. You've had your time. Leave it to the good ones.
Yeah.
So true.
But I mean, like, kind of like a team member kind of working up into equity, and then investing their own money and
Yep.
time into the businesses. That's what CommonFolk's about.
Yes.
And that's kind of an offer that's open to really anyone who kind of wants to be part of what we're doing.
Yes.
Because that's who we are. We're about just ordinary people, common folk, getting together over good coffee, and then hopefully, having fun and building
Yes.
spaces that people want to be in, and and drinking coffee that's doing good for, the people who are producing it all the way to the people who are drinking it. So.
Yes. Is that something you think about as well when you sell, and who you choose to collaborate with your wholesale too? Because you do a lot of wholesale
Great
coffee.
question.
And you do supply a lot of cafes, not just in the area, but towards the city and that as well.
Yep.
Do you take that into consideration too with who you want to collab with?
Yeah, for sure. I think we in early 2019, like just before kind of COVID kicked off and really threw, like everyone into a spin, especially hospitality, we sort of really dug deep into the strategy behind like wholesale and who it was that we wanted to become and who we were. And I think it kind of boiled down to the same thing that we talk about with our venues, is that it's about who CommonFolk is and aligning our values there. And it's not like if you came to me and said, I want to buy a coffee, I can't really stop you from doing it. But generally speaking, we look to partner with people and we'll pursue accounts that align up with at least one or more of our values. So our core values are quality, which hopefully, makes sense. You're drinking coffee that tastes like shit.
Yes.
Community, which again, we've already touched on. And then pioneering, sort of like, are we innovating? Are we at the cutting edge of what's happening in coffee and in hospitality? And so if we've got venues that kind of align with one or even better, more of those values, we'll partner with them.
Yeah, perfect, yes.
And if you kind of don't, maybe we won't. So if you're like, I'm after the cheapest coffee, I just want to sell heaps of it. I don't really care about who I step on to get there. And all I want is a ripper deal, to mass produce something. You're probably not going to align with us.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, because of the way we buy our coffees, we really try and source great coffee that's high quality. So it's more expensive. But even then, that we're paying the right price for, so the farmers can not just do it this year, but every year moving forward.
Yes.
And it just means that for some places, it's not going to be able to afford to partner with us because their business is set up to, sort of race to the bottom. We're certainly not the most expensive, but we're kind of in that middle to upper tier price point. And so a lot of the people who partner with us are taking a hit to choose to use a coffee that they love to work with, that they think reflects what their business is doing and that their customers enjoy drinking. So
that's fantastic.
And so I guess the byproduct of that is we're really grateful for any of the people who partner with us. And there are so many, especially like local businesses who are like, we want to use CommonFolk. And then like our end of the bargain is we want to roast great coffee for them and then train them, support them, resource them.
Which is such a beautiful credit to you guys, and what a beautiful thing and a beautiful product you do actually provide in the community. What gives you the ideas on the different, I guess, blends and flavours that you make? Who comes up with them? How do we get them?
Great question. I think there's probably a couple of things on that. You need to have industry awareness.
Yes.
What customers want to drink, and what's selling, but also when you think about the pioneering aspect of our business, we also want to hold true to what we believe to be the best quality. And so sometimes that means taking risks on a potential farm or a coffee that might be cutting edge.
Yes.
Like, for example,
tastes weird.
Yeah, that tastes really weird.
Yes.
And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But for example, recently we launched a coffee from one of our partners in Uganda.
Yes.
And 6 coffees.
Yep.
Yeah, there were 6 coffees, and they were all anaerobic spiked coffees. Mm-hmm. Spiked meaning they were spiked with fruit while they were fermenting.
Oh, yes, okay.
And
nice.
that to some people is mind blowing because they've never, especially
Well, they think like, wait, coffee's fermented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all coffee is fermented at some point.
Yeah.
The idea of doing it with fruit.
Yeah, with fruit is crazy,
it's
and
crazy,
so jackfruit, orange, like
Mango,
passion fruit. But the fun of it is for us is that at CommonFolk we want to be approachable hospitality.
Yes.
We want to give people an experience that they can't or maybe won't experience somewhere else, but in a way that is palatable for all customers.
Yes.
And so if a customer comes in that's used to drinking a really dark, heavy roasted coffee that tastes like cigarettes and tar.
Like what Nan used to drink
That's
with their
right.
pack a day and things.
Exactly right. If a customer like that comes in and we can spark their excitement and get them inquisitive about these wonderful coffees that we're working with from our partners in Uganda,
Yes.
then that is the cherry on top for us. But yeah, Sammy, you could probably speak into that a little bit more in terms
well,
of
you nailed it. I think like it's in the name CommonFolk. Like we didn't want to gatekeep, I don't know, being coffee wankers and kind of make people feel like, oh, if you don't order the right thing, you're not
Yes.
welcome here. So like one thing I tell like all new team members, like I would have said it to Casey when she started, and I remember she was drinking 3 sugars extra hot.
I was about to say how far she has come from
So,
her 3
Yes.
sugar mochas with extra chocolate we
but
were
like-
talking about
Absolutely.
before.
But what I tell our baristas is like, if we offer it, if we sell something,
Yes.
then like it's going to be the best version of that available to a customer. So if we sell, in theory, extra hot, large, weak soy decaf lattes, that's something you can order here.
Yes.
And so like, people chuckle at that going, oh, it's a terrible order, baristas must hate it. We're like, no, not at all. Like we'll make the best bloody extra hot, large, weak decaf soy latte you'll ever have.
Yes.
And we'll do that time and time again. Build trust with that customer, build a relationship with them. And you know what? One day we're going to hand them a batch of, like a filter coffee of the crazy spike lots from Uganda that Casey
Yes.
was talking about and say, hey, why don't you try this? I reckon you'll like it. And at that point, they actually trust us and want to maybe try something different. And then we turn mocha drinkers into batchy drinkers. And again, it's not like because we think that coffee's better than the other. It's
Yes.
just that it's an exciting and different thing to try.
Yeah.
But we want people to feel welcome here, not
Yes.
like they're not.
And
I think
coffee
that's a big
drinkers
thing.
too, they want to try new things. Like
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
like you guys know, my partner drinks your coffee religiously. I take bags home or I swing past and pick up bags for him all the time. But he loves to try a new one. When you do bring a new one out, he's like, oh, can you swing past and grab me that? People want to try it. I think
Yeah.
it's nice to try something new. You don't want to be having your same black coffee every day. It's
100%.
fantastic to provide that to
Yeah.
people. Yes.
Yeah, well,
And
the
that-
way, yeah, I was going to say.
I was going to say that, and we absolutely love customers like that.
Yeah.
It gets us excited, but on the other hand, we also have loyal customers that have been drinking our Godfather blend
Yes.
for 12 years.
Yep.
And they
We'll
won't
never move from that.
they'll never move from that, and they love what they love,
Yeah.
and that's also absolutely okay as well.
Yeah, that's fine too,
So long
yeah.
as we're giving people the option and what we're offering is approachable for all people,
Yes.
then we're happy.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think our customers are absolutely amazing.
Yes.
For the most part, everyone is really open to what we do, and they really trust what we're doing as well.
Yes.
And I also think our customers really buy into the story of origin as well,
of
which
course.
is honestly at the core of everything that we do.
Yes.
It's the reason why we do what we do, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, but that is probably the most exciting part for me, is being able to tell the story behind
Yes.
each cup of coffee and where it's come from and how many hands have touched that before it's even
Yeah, yes.
been received in our roasting facilities, and being able to see that firsthand myself, and obviously Sammy's well ingrained in that community. But yeah, to me, that's the most exciting thing.
Yes.
Giving credit where credit's due, and that's the people that do all the hard work before the coffee even gets to CommonFolk.
Yes. So how do you choose, I guess, when you are working with suppliers like from Uganda on, I guess, ethical companies and ethical growers? How do you actually choose to make sure that you're collaborating with companies that are running
It's a
ethically?
great question.
Yeah, I think when we started, I thought it was going to be easy to source good ethical coffee that tasted delicious,
Yes.
because that was sort of the message that was being thrown out there by other roasters doing a similar thing that I wanted to emulate. And I think it became pretty apparent early on that it wasn't quite as simple as that. Like a lot of people had really good marketing departments and
Yes.
slightly less good green sourcing departments. And so not that we needed to reinvent the wheel, but we realized as a smaller business that wasn't roasting huge volumes,
Yes.
we were really up against it. And so we built step by step as we got bigger, relationships with producers we really liked. Our oldest relationship's actually with a producer called Bom Jesus or Cafe Laboretta
Okay,
in
yes.
Brazil.
Yep.
And we've been working with them literally since the year we opened. I just went over and visited their plantation earlier this year, and they're incredible people. And in fact, they're a larger plantation. They just won the most sustainable coffee farm in Brazil
Okay, yes.
which is incredible. And the family, the Olivier family who run it, and Gabrielle, who's the I think sixth generation general manager of the business. He's super passionate about similar things that we are, and so in the same way we want to partner with cafes and
Yes.
wholesale customers who share our values. We try and do the same with producers and farmers.
Yeah, fantastic.
And so they're quite a big business and actually do a lot of similar work with the people who are working on their farms and with other kind of
Yes.
agricultural projects and community development projects in their local area around the city of Franca in the
Yes.
Sao Paulo state in Brazil. Then I look at something like our Ugandan project. It's completely different. So they're comprised of smallholder farmers that really don't have access to any sort of Western market or
Yes.
buyers like CommonFolk,
Okay.
but instead have now been resourced by Zakukabora Coffee Company, who are a social enterprise that we actually help fund through our initiative, The Cup That Counts. And the way that works will be Zakukabora pays cash on delivery for those farmers' cherries so that they get
Yep.
money in their pockets when they need it.
Gosh,
They pay the
great.
highest price on Mount
Yes.
Elgon in Uganda
Yep.
for their coffee. And those farmers can collectively pool their goods together so that they can sell to people like us
Yes.
and actually make it worth it. And so every time we try and find a partner to work with who's producing green coffee, we sort of ask ourselves, does this fit in our ethical sourcing framework? And we
Yes.
put together quite a comprehensive list of, I suppose, sort of questions we want to ask ourselves and
Yes.
our producers. But a lot of them revolve around, is this something we can see occurring year in, year out for the long term?
Yes.
And what would that look like? How does it look to be mutually beneficial and mutually
Yes.
profitable? So a lot of people, sort of look at, especially when they're kind of thinking poor coffee farmers, they need development and help. It's like, how do we make it sustainable? We kind of try and ask ourselves, how do we make it profitable? Like coffee farmers should be thinking, coffee is good business. I'm not just going to keep producing it. I'm going to buy up my neighbour's
Yes.
land. I'm going to try and plant more trees. And so we're trying to find ways for that to happen.
Yes.
And if it's a smallholder who owns half a hectare in Uganda through to, a big estate in Brazil that's like, 1 million hectares, whatever it might be, we want the answer to be the same. And so that comes first, and then quality is the next question
Yes.
we have. So it's like, okay, so if we were to buy this coffee and we were to pay this price for it, how are you going to meet these standards? Because we don't want to drink crap. And what we found actually is that if you kind of tick the box for the, that profitability
Yes.
and that needs-based question, what we found is quality skyrockets really quickly after that. And so the coffee will have a starting point, but then year after year, as we're buying this coffee, it's getting better and better.
Yes.
And that's how you end up with some really cool spike-like coffees, because these farmers feel empowered to do different things that might be producing better coffee, because
Yes.
they know we're going to buy it, they know we're going to pay well for it.
Yep.
And then in the end, the customer drinking the coffee, your partner,
Everyone, yes,
Who's
everyone
happy.
enjoys it. Everyone's
Yeah.
happy with it. Now, is that part of the B Corp certification that you're doing at the moment? If
Yeah.
you could explain that to the people that don't know and how that is all involved as well.
So B Corp's a funny one. We've been probably more approached by the customers, or especially some of the bigger corporate ones we work with, saying, are you guys B Corp certified, or are you a
Yes.
certified social enterprise? And we sort of like, well, no, we're actually not. We just do this stuff anyway. It's sort of
Yes.
foundational to who we are. And a lot of them have just said, oh, you guys should just go and do the certification. It'll be so valuable for you, and you almost certainly qualify for it. And so
Yes.
it was probably more a byproduct of being encouraged to go and, I guess, get the recognition that perhaps a lot of people felt we deserved and get certified.
Yes.
And so we're almost finished that certification.
Fantastic.
It's a process. So if anyone's out there looking to become B Corp certified,
Yes.
like I can encourage them to do it, but be prepared to put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm excited to say that at this current point, it looks like we're going to score really highly, which is exciting.
Congratulations. Yes.
And we'll continue to renew that. But yeah, it was more looking to get, I guess, external validation for the good things we felt we were already doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for a lot of corporates or bigger partners, they need some level of certification to justify working with you, rather than
Yes.
just taking our word for it. We're the good guys here at CommonFolk.
That's
It's
right.
like, well,
Some people
here's
do
the
like to
proof.
see the certificate that
Yeah.
you
100%.
are actually ethically and
Yeah.
environmentally working with the correct companies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even honestly, even for the team, I think it's
Yes.
almost like a badge of honor, or even more so like a pat on the back for us to know, and the wider
Yes.
team to know, oh, the things that we implemented early on that we thought were the right things to do actually are.
Yes.
And you never know until years down the track, but we really trusted our gut and our morals and our
Yes.
the pillars of CommonFolk and early days. We really, really cared a lot about things like, and obviously things progress and we learn lots, and things have changed throughout our time. But for the team to get that recognition of
Yes.
years of hard work, and we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you best believe that we're working hard to try and be at the forefront,
Yes.
and the cutting edge side of what we do, whether it be companies that we're connecting with or even how we run our hospitality and how
Yes.
much waste is involved in that. We are always so consciously thinking about, our footprint.
Yes. Now, because you run or you work with a charity called The Cup That Counts, is that
Yep.
correct? Where you donate 20 cents to every dollar of coffee that's sold. I believe so far you've raised over $400,000, which is incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about that and, yes, what the charity is involved in and, a little bit about the charity that you do?
Yeah, the cup that counts is something that Sammy and I'm really, really proud of.
Yes.
I feel like it's something that the team, once they really find out what the cup that counts in is, and as well as our community,
Yes.
it gives people a little bit more context into who CommonFolk is. And not only do we donate 20 cents from every coffee sold or
Incredible.
non-sold,
Not even
because
sold,
even staff put coffees through the till.
Yes.
We count that as a coffee as well.
Incredible, yes.
Also, we hold special fundraising events as
Yes.
well. And from our very first meeting at CommonFolk 12 years ago, the staff decided that every tip that the staff got would go straight towards the cup that counts as well.
Yes, incredible.
And so, yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
And Sammy will talk into, I suppose, because it was, your grand idea way back when. But I guess the cup that counts just goes to show Sammy's heart,
Yes.
for not only great hospitality and quality coffee and partnering with the right people, but
Yes.
also consciously wanting to go above and beyond, helping as many
Yes.
people and communities as possible. And that's the kind of person I want to go into business with.
Yes.
And I'm proud, really proud. But yeah,
And
maybe,
it's the kind of people that I guess the community wants to support as well, because I know you've put back into Tantai Park and things
Yes.
too. So it's really knowing and seeing what you're putting back into the community, which is incredible, and people love to support it, especially such a tight-knit community like Mornington and the Mornington Peninsula.
yeah. And the good thing is that for customers, it's sometimes, people feel uneasy or awkward about donating
Yes.
money, but it's just a part of everyday life for our customers. Like, they're, without even knowing, they are doing a really positive thing
Everybody's
for
helping.
communities locally and globally.
Yes.
And that's so cool. That I'm currently sitting here looking at 8 different people with a cup of coffee
Yes.
in their hands, and they're helping just by drinking a cup of coffee.
Yes.
But maybe tell the story of
Yeah, well, I feel like you're giving me too much credit. So, when we opened, I think I was fixated on getting the doors open,
Yes.
barista roaster. I just wanted to be serving and drinking, to be honest, great coffee. And I was aware, but I think nowhere near as aware as I am now, just how deep the inequality and the injustice kind of runs in the coffee
Yes.
industry. But we'd always said from day one we wanted to at least have some component of giving back to the industry.
Yep.
And that kind of it was really pushed as well by my original co-founders. So Duncan, Andy, and Ben were all kind of like, yeah, let's try and build something into this. I think initially we discussed, we'll give 10% of profits back to this
Yep.
thing, and then I think we had conversations before we'd opened that, look, profitability is not guaranteed, and so why don't we make it structural and make it easy for ourselves? 20 cents from every cup of coffee, 20 cents from every kilo we roast,
Yes.
we'll give to an initiative. And so initially, the Cup That Counts was just the name we gave to that program internally. We registered it as the official ACNC tax-deductible charity
Yes.
last year.
Congratulations.
And so we just had our first official AGM earlier this week. It was
Yes.
really exciting to sort of reflect on what we've done with it. And it's the general premise behind it is to help support a coffee industry that's fairer for everyone involved. And so
Yes.
broadly speaking, we'll raise that funding. We'll do more fundraising events. We run events, things like Good Coffee Day, which is now turned into Good Coffee Month, which gives our community and our wholesale partners an opportunity to kind of contribute as well. And that money will be then channeled into projects that we sort of assess for viability within coffee. And you touched on Tantai Park Social Enterprises, so a homegrown training cafe on Robertson's Drive in Tantai. It's training up the next generation of hospo superstars, and that's actually expanded now to also have a community house as part of what they offer. And now there's like this community ownership and running programs that are for people in Tantai, run by people in Tantai, which is awesome. And again, Case is being is moving into that area as well. It's just out the back of CommonFolk, so very convenient. All the way through to the Ugandan project, the Kookaburra, which we kind of co-founded way back in 2015. It was the first project that we really funded. And there's other things on the agenda. So more recently, we merged with a roasting company called Kua Coffee that were very focused on making coffee a climate positive sort of product. And we've been funding climate resilience through the sale of their coffee at Mount Elgon with the very same communities as the Kookaburra is operating in. And more recently, Tommy, our head of coffee, who he spends his time sourcing the very best coffees and making sure our partnerships are strong. He's just found a new project in Kenya that's doing not a dissimilar thing to what Homeground is doing in Australia. It's training up new hospitality people. All the way through to a potential project in hill tribes in Thailand, very similar to Kookaburra. And so we're hoping to use all the money we raise as a resource. And like you said, we've almost raised $500,000 over the course of it, which blows my mind. Incredible. But that's thanks to the coffee drinking folks of the Mornington Peninsula.
But it's something that you have been implemented. You should be so proud of that as well. You've brought it onto the business, and so the community can be involved with it. It's great. It is.
I think the thing that I'm really proud of as well, and again, we've learned throughout the years where to help and when to take a step back and learn. But when we do fund projects in the coffee community, whether it be Uganda or Tantai Park, Homeground, instead of us dictating what the money should go to, we let the people who are actually running, whether it be the farms or Bev from Homeground, they approach us with what the need is, and we then try our best to financially help and facilitate. And I suppose that shows great awareness from us that we don't have the answers to everything as much as we are know-it-alls.
I have very few answers.
We don't have the answers for everything, and we need to trust the people on the ground. And that trust both ways has genuinely been the core of everything, and also that has helped create the change that has needed to happen. And so we're doing our small part, but they're the ones on the ground actually doing the hard work, making these projects happen. So I suppose in a sense we've got it easy compared to everyone who's doing the hard
A
yard.
lot of people doing it.
You're
selling good coffee. You'll be right. You're doing your part.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Now, with a bit of the community involvement, I know on a Monday and a Wednesday night you allow for Matt to run his safe space here. How important is it to allow to facilitate an area for people to come and feel safe if they don't have someone to talk to, and working with that collaboration with Matt as well to allow it to happen?
Yeah, it's really important, and again, going back to our core values, like community being one of the most important things. And Matt is an absolute legend, and we love sort of creating a space that he can create a space from that. And I suppose it's not just Matt with Safe Space either. We're really passionate about helping as much as we can, and we open the doors to many charity events and fundraisers where we just open the doors and don't expect anything in return. And
Yes.
if that's what we can do, we can help give a space for people that are doing good in
Yes.
our community and give back. We will always do that. And so I think this current year, we've actually held the most charity or fundraising events at CommonFolk than we ever have before. And that was a conscious decision
Yes.
that we want to make sure that we're giving back. And if we're expecting, or not expecting, but we love the feeling of customers and the community supporting us, then we need to make sure that that's at the forefront of everything that we're doing too. And so Ash, our events coordinator, has really, really worked hard to open the doors as much as possible. No point keeping him closed if there's no one here.
Yeah.
And so Matt being a great example of us just doing what we can, which is handing over keys, and Matt does all the hard work. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it this again highlights something that I think we, like, probably the team as well, personally give a shit about, which is creating spaces for, like, just normal people, common folk to be able to spend time together. And, like, it might be the cafe where you can come and, but maybe some people, can't afford to come and have a coffee every day, but they can still be in our space at some point, whether it's a safe space or for any of the other sort of things we do. Because I think that, like, and again, we get accused of being a cult, I think, sometimes, because, like, all this kind of, like, community vibe and everything. And I'm like, bring it on,
it's
I'm
the
happy.
best cult to be involved in.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't want to join?
Yeah, because it's like, like, all the weird stuff just comes later when you rise up the different tiers,
Yeah.
How often you come here is how culty you become.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
But genuinely, it's more like this idea of, like, a third space, so it's not work and it's not home, it's kind of where you'd rather be. Like, we want to try and be that as often as we can be, and to as many people as we can be, because a lot of that's missing in modern life. Like, you kind of, everyone will be stuck on their phones and disconnected, and and find themselves kind of wandering somewhat aimlessly through their lives, and we're like, hey, snap out of it, come to CommonFolk, spend time with other people. There's heaps of different ways you can do that, whether it's with Matt in safe space, whether it's coming to one of our couple of counts events, or whether it's just coming in, having a coffee and chatting to any of the team who will probably annoy you with their coffee knowledge and passion. You can do it. And so I think that's kind of, again, all the way through to donating sort of things for, like, silent auctions or raffles. Like, we almost never really say no to that stuff. We don't really donate money, because if there's money to be donated, we'll probably do it through the couple of counts. But if you're a local preschool who's going to run a raffle to try and raise money to build a new playground, like, we'll chuck a bag of coffee in. Sure. Like, why not? As long as hopefully that encourages you to come to CommonFolk and spend some money at some later point. But, I think that as a general rule, that's definitely how it works. People, are happy to be involved if you're involved.
I think people want to be involved as well. Sometimes they just don't know how to be involved. And yes, you guys are creating such a nice space here to facilitate that and see how people can help in the community as well. What's our plan for next year? Are we growing again? What are we doing in 2025?
Great question. It's so funny. I feel like when you work in such a fast-paced industry, sitting and reflecting and thinking forward is something that you've got to be super conscious of doing.
Yes.
And Sammy and I keep each other accountable for that. But yeah, you best believe we've got some big plans for next year.
Care to share?
Yeah. So we
get a sneak peek at one.
Yes. We are in the middle of relocating our Frankston venue.
Yes.
Into an incredible space, and that will happen early next year.
Very exciting.
So that is super exciting. It's an incredible space that'll give us a bigger capacity. And so anyone that frequents our current Frankston store knows that it a click of a finger, it fills up straight away. And so to be able to get more customers through the door and get people good coffee, hopefully a little bit quicker, is super exciting. And we cannot wait. The community down at Frankston are super excited, and we can't wait just to give them a bigger and better space. And so we're working really hard behind the scenes now to get that over the line.
Yes.
There's so much. Even wholesale wise, we've got some incredible new partners that have just come on using
Great.
our coffee, which is awesome. But we're always looking to grow.
Yes.
And whether that be personal and professional growth,
Yep.
whether that be venue growth. Another really exciting thing is that we are upgrading our Mornington store. So the store
how
here,
exciting.
yeah, which is super exciting. It
Yes.
actually hasn't been renovated professionally. I was going to say
Some handyman jobs
Yeah,
here and there,
well,
So I
are
beg
they?
your pardon. I've been I've whipped out the tool belt a few
during
times.
we've
Coffee in his hand, drill in the other.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. During COVID, Sam and I got a little bit bored. Although our customers were amazing and support us,
Yes.
we definitely were quieter than usual trade. And so Sammy and I, being the crazy go-getters that we are,
Yes.
we did a little bit of renovating and painted and put some new plants in. But we are very much aware that it's probably time for an even better upgrade. And so
Yes.
there's some pretty exciting and really big plans.
Yes.
And so we're hoping that will sort of kick off early to mid next year. Should I mention the venue? Of which we are. Should I say it? Yeah, do it.
Say it.
We're going to.
We can cut it
we're
out
going to
later if
branch
you
out.
decide.
Yeah, we're going to branch out and actually in our venue have a glass front bakery, so that so that we can
beautiful.
service our
Yes.
customers with incredible breads and
Yes.
sweet treats. I'm really excited for that, and it's
Yes.
something really exciting for our team too.
Yep.
I think it'll create an incredible atmosphere. And it's something that Sammy and I have talked about for years. And so
Yes.
to actually have that in our plans for next year is really, really exciting.
All baking in-house and everything as well by
Yeah,
chef?
yeah.
Yep.
Well, look, we'll start slowly.
Yes.
Don't
Don't overwhelm him too much out there. It's
Yeah.
Exactly right. We're very conscious of our abilities, and that's something that Sammy and I have learnt. Never overshoot your abilities, because it never usually ends well, but also dream big.
Yeah.
And so this has been a big dream of ours for a long time. But we're also super conscious of making sure that it's done right with quality instead
Yes.
of done rushed. And so, yeah, Mornington plans, there's big Mornington plans for next year. But I think the key thing that Sammy and I have talked about alongside our other business partners is that we want to make sure that we're honouring our current venues
Yes.
and what we're doing. And so the communities that that support us deserve quality.
Yes.
And relocating Frankston into an incredible venue,
Yep.
that's giving back to the community, but also benefiting us as well. And
Yes.
so really, really digging deep into what we have,
Yes.
and taking that to the next level is what our focus is for 2025.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes. Well, I guess to finish it off, we started with a mocha with 3 sugars, and extra chocolate on top. What do we both drink now?
Oh, depends on the day, really. But a usual morning for me would look like coming into work. Oh, actually, no. A usual morning for me would look like going straight home from the gym and my partner bringing me home a magic while I get ready for work from CommonFolk.
Yes.
And then I'll come into work. I will get myself a batch brew
Yes.
and walk around the garden out the back before many other staff get here. It's kind of my time to process my thoughts
Beautiful.
for the day.
Yes.
And then I'll move on to a flat white and then finish on a double espresso.
That's why you said 6
So not
coffees
much
before.
coffee.
That's why.
So, yeah, I don't like coffee that much.
Yeah. Worst industry to be in here.
Yeah, exactly right.
No, I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'm a hot chocolate drinker.
Yeah. I think the team know my order well. It's basically one of everything. So I just want to try every coffee that the customer might be able to get on
Yeah.
the day. Generally speaking, yeah, like it's called the barista breakfast. Like, but I do it on steroids. So Rather than just accepting one shot of each coffee, I typically do two. So I'll have a batch brew,
Okay.
I'll have a double shot flat white, and I'll have a double espresso.
Yes.
And that's just my morning order, and hopefully I won't go into anything beyond that because I think people
Yes,
will
do
be
we have a
questioning
cut-off
what's happening.
time that we say, okay, no more coffee after, let's say, 11 or 12? Or
I
we
can't
just
drink
go all-
coffee later than probably
Yeah.
like 5, really, and I wouldn't.
Yes.
Like my other business partner, Andy Dell, like he'll drink coffee at any point. It doesn't affect his sleep whatsoever. He's crazy. So
Yes.
that's a whole nother level. But
Yeah.
I call it mid-afternoon. Yeah.
Well, you're obviously in the perfect industry then. You've got the perfect business for it.
Yeah, so true, so true.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yes, good luck with everything next
Thank
year.
you,
So-
thank
No
you,
worries.
and also big shout out to O'Brien Real Estate in Mornington.
Thank you.
These podcasts and you guys taking the time to throw yourselves into the community of Mornington and give people the opportunity to talk is huge, and big raps and big respect for you guys. So thanks,
you.
Luce, and cheers, O'Brien.
Yes,
Love
thank
it.
you.